Yes, we're going to improve your detoxification systems. Yes, we're going to improve your cellular function. Yes, we're going to be, I'm going to teach you how to feed and nourish your cells on a very deep level without eating much food at all. Yes, you're going to feel better. And part of this process of feeling better is feeling better emotionally. You are listening to Turn Your Soul On Radio. I am your host and visionary doctor, Dr. Brandy Victory, and my mission is to assist high-achieving women in closing the gap between feeling unfulfilled to living a life on fire. It is time, ladies, to champion our own lives and turn ourselves on. This is Living Victoriously, ladies. This is how you turn your soul on. Hello, my beautiful soul sisters. I am feeling so good right now, and I hope you are too. I actually made myself some raw chocolate last night. So I have some raw chocolate sitting in my refrigerator with bee pollen and cacao nibs on it. So I've had a couple of pieces of those just before I came to be with you, sipping on a little cup of bulletproof coffee. So yeah, that's my breakfast. Plus I threw in some Super Amino 23, which is a vegan protein source that's in the 10-day transformation program that I'm going to be sharing with you today. Today we're going to be talking about the difference between fasting and cleansing. And I have a lot of people who are, especially right now because it's spring, they're exploring these things and wondering what's the difference and which one should they do, or they're actually doing it and they don't have guidance and they're having trouble. So I want to clarify a few things for you around this subject so that you can be really clear about how to move forward with your own health care. But first, I want to thank our sponsor, Purium Superfoods. Purium Superfoods is the company that created the 10-day transformation program that I love. I've been teaching cleansing for well over 10 years now, and I've done all kinds of cleansing programs, 6 weeks, 21 days, 10 days, 5 days, all the things. And this Purium 10-day transformation program is by far the top notch in the way that that we can get movement in the body. We can improve organ system function very quickly, more quickly than anything else I've ever done. I used to, do these longer programs with people, and they were good. That's why I did them. And when I started using this, I did a lot of research with some patients and things, and of course on myself. And I found that it's just a far superior product because you get way more benefit in a shorter amount of time. Plus, you're just not ever hungry. So it's really, really awesome. It's full of green foods. It's alkalizing. It eliminates cravings. Like seriously, by day 3, you're not craving anything when you're doing this thing. It's full of vegan protein. It nourishes your cells, and we're going to talk about how most cleanses are not necessarily nourishing your cells on a deep level. That's why you're hungry. And it's pretty much everything you need in your nutrition, so you don't really even have to think about cooking, which makes it really, really easy for people. So if you go to drbrandyvictory.com/10-day, that's 10day, drbrandyvictory.com/10-day, and you can learn more about the 10-day transformation program. Plus, you can join in on my next 10-day group cleanse, which is going to be way fun, and you'll feel fantastic too. So thanks for checking out drbrandyvictory.com/10-day. And if you'd like a consultation so we can determine if this program is right for you, I am certainly happy to have that convo for you. It's all programs. There's no program that's right for everyone. So, as we're talking about this stuff today, I want you to be very clear that before you start any of these kinds of things, always talk to your doctor. Talk to someone who can help you navigate this stuff so that you're not floundering around and getting yourself in trouble, because we're going to go through the risks of these things, because they all have risks. All choices that we make in life have risks, including walking across the street. So you might as well be making a choice towards your health and kind of having that kind of risk in your life. So that's where we're going today. So fast versus cleanse. So many of us, most if not all, know about fasting before you do lab work, and this helps improve test accuracy. So essentially that's when we're not eating or drinking anything for a certain amount of time between or before a lab evaluation. And so that's a pretty simple way of cleansing, and that's essentially what all cleanses do. They're just you're just essentially not eating for a certain amount of time. And some people are doing this kind of thing for spiritual beliefs like Ramadan. Other people choose to fast because they have belief that it'll benefit their health or they want to lose weight. And are there health benefits? Absolutely. And will some people, not all people, but will some people lose weight? Absolutely. This is what happens. And however, it's not always the healthiest way to go about it, and it may or may not be long lasting. And so, we'll get a little bit deeper into that. There's another type of fasting called intermittent fasting, and this is very popular right now, and very well so, because there's so many benefits to it. And intermittent fasting is essentially choosing a time of day where you won't be eating. And this is usually consistent every day of the week or for certain days of the week. Some people go, anywhere between 8 and 16 hours without eating. So, if you're eating like a regular human being, and you're having your breakfast at 10 o'clock in the morning and you're eating your last meal at 6, then you're getting a good, 16 hours? What is that? I'm not very good at math, but you're getting a good long stretch without food because you're not eating after 6 and you're not eating till 10. So 16 hours. So you got your 16 hours right there. However, this isn't necessarily something someone wants to do full time, especially if you've got thyroid imbalances or things like that, because it can impact your body in ways that you may not realize. If someone does have a thyroid insufficiency or other things that are going on, and 16 hours may be too long, you can certainly do a 10-hour fast and still get some benefit from it. Some people also do the 5-2 diet, which means they're following a recommended caloric intake for 5 days, and then the other 2 days they reduce their caloric intake to about 25%. And that means for those 2 days, women are typically eating 500 calories a day and men are eating 600 calories per day. There's an array of studies that have shown that this style of eating improves blood pressure, cholesterol, insulin sensitivity, and a whole host of things. There was a study actually done in 2014 that was reported in Medical News Today, and they were saying that water fasting 1 day a week, and simply what that means is doing nothing but not eating nothing and drinking only water, it may reduce risk of diabetes among people who are high risk for that disorder. So, if you're diabetic, that might be something you want to try out. There was another study at the University of Southern California where they were finding that fasting 2 to 4 days a week may reboot the immune system. So this has promising effects for autoimmunity. It has promising effects for gut dysfunction. It has promising effects around protecting against cell damage that's caused by chemo. So because essentially what it does is it clears out the old immune cells and it rebuilds new ones. This is called autophagy. And your body's constantly doing autophagy. And in intermittent fasting just accelerates that ability for your body to clear out the old garbage that's done and rebuild the new cells in hopefully a healthier way. All right. So autophagy begins when the liver glycogen is depleted, and that happens at between 12 and 16 hours, and then it drops after about 2 days. So hence the 5-2 diet's kind of been a big hit. There's also a cleanse called the Master Cleanse. So the Master Cleanse is essentially a fast. So you usually do it from anywhere between 10 and 14 days. And basically you're drinking a whole bunch of water that has lemon and cayenne pepper and maple syrup in it. Now, I've personally done the Master Cleanse. I've done all this stuff. I've literally done all this stuff. And, is there benefit to fasting? Yeah. Definitely there's benefit to fasting, especially from a spiritual perspective, especially for reducing inflammation in the body, which is what is the the underlying root cause of all the chronic conditions that we have in our society, from heart disease to cancer to Alzheimer's, So yeah, there's definitely a benefit. And there's also some risks, and I think it's important to be aware of that, okay? So, one of the biggest dangers I see, especially because my perspective is from me, having recovered from eating disorders, and I understand that mentality really well, and there's certain things that I can do and certain things that I avoid at certain times, including fasting and any kind of cleansing, depending on where I'm at in my mental mindset. Because cleansing, fasting, intermittent fasting, all of it can actually trigger eating disorders or binge eating, and this stuff can lead to guilt and shame. And for anyone who's using their eating disorder as a crutch, it can also it can amplify that. It becomes a yo-yo, a cycle, a pattern, and it's incredibly hard to stop when you've gotten yourself into that situation. So, it's definitely not for everybody. And if you're planning on doing any kind of fasting or cleansing or anything like that, I'd highly encourage you to get some help. Have someone hold your hand through the process. Have someone who can help you navigate the emotional ups and downs of these kinds of experiences. Because regardless if you're fasting or cleansing, I always tell my patients that this is more than a physical cleanse. Yes, we're going to improve your detoxification systems. Yes, we're going to improve your cellular function. Yes, we're going to be, I'm going to teach you how to feed you and nourish your cells on a very deep level without eating much food at all. Yes, you're going to feel better. And part of this process of feeling better is feeling better emotionally. And so a cleanse is not just a physical cleanse, it's an emotional cleanse. And I always find that me or anyone else who's doing a cleanse, they're gonna eat the foods and do the cleanse, and they're gonna clean out their closets, they're gonna clean out their junk drawers, they're gonna clean out their relationships, they're gonna clean out their brain fog, all of these things get cleaned out. And then when you clear out those things, you start to see things from a different perspective. And when you start to see things from a different perspective, you can begin to live your life from a new place. And so this is what cleansing is really about. It's really about, yes, improving your health, but moreover, improving your entire freaking life. Like, I want to feel fabulous as much as I possibly can. And I want that for every single person who walks through my door or calls me on the phone. And anything we can do to facilitate that, I am so down for that. And I want it to also be long lasting. I don't want it to be, okay, I did my 10-day cleanse and now I'm going to go back to my old lifestyle. No, it's not about that. This is about changing who you be from the inside out, on a physiological level, on an emotional level, on a spiritual level. And when you get clear about that, then your life freaking changes, and it's amazing. So yes. The other dangers that come along with fasting can be things like dehydration, increased stress. It's kind of stressful to cleanse sometimes because if it's not the right time for you, it's important to know that it's the right time for you. But it's a stressful experience because you're not used to not eating. And then it can disrupt your sleep. You can create headaches, heartburn, like especially when someone smells food and they've been fasting, their stomach begins to produce acid because it thinks it's going to eat, and then you don't, and then that can actually create heartburn. Their muscle wasting can occur because you're not taking in any food or nourishing your body at all, so you're losing muscle mass. And this is a very important point, especially for those of you who are doing cleansing or fasting for weight loss, which most people are. Like, if you really want to boil it down, most people are. They want to lose a little weight. And there's a difference in losing fat and inflammatory water weight gain versus losing muscle mass. So I had this experience. Over the last 6 months, I've been really working diligently to tone up. I really want to just tighten things up for myself and feel better in my body. And I kind of put that aside for a while. And so I'm back into it, and I'm tracking everything. I'm doing bioimpedance analysis twice a month and watching to see how my muscle ratio and my fat ratios are doing. I'm tracking all my food, so I know exactly how many carbohydrates, how much protein, and how much fat I'm eating every day, how many calories I'm burning every day. Like, this is a project for myself that I've undertaken, and I'm so excited to be doing it because I have this desire that's really important to me. And so I'm putting the work in and I'm making it happen. But what I found was that I found that for 4 months straight, 4 months, it might have been 3 or 4 months straight, either way. 3 months is a long time. So 3 or 4 months straight, every time I would do my bioimpedance analysis. And if you don't know what that is, it is essentially a test where I put electrodes on my body and I run a current through my body. I have a machine that does this, and then it goes into a computer, and the computer gives me a readout of what's happening with my physiology. So I can see cellular function, I can see water, intracellular water versus extracellular water. I can see if I'm absorbing my nutrients. I can see if my muscle mass is going up or down, as well as my fat mass. And for 3 or 4 months straight, I literally was losing weight. So my scale was going down, 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 which is kind of exciting for us women. And when I do my bioimpedance, what I found out was I was losing muscle mass and gaining fat mass 3 or 4 months straight. Like, seriously, that is awful to see that happen over and over again. And this is why I tell people, don't rely on the scale, because I had thought that I was doing great because my scale was going down, but then I realized I was becoming more obese as the time went on. So, with that knowledge, I began making changes. And now over the past, I guess last month that I've been doing this, a month, maybe 2 months, I've turned that around. So now I'm losing fat mass and I'm gaining muscle mass. So that's the sweet spot. That's where we want to be, because when we lose fat mass and gain muscle mass, then we actually become toned and we feel good and we have energy. When we're going in the opposite direction, we're going opposite of what we're actually trying to create when we want to quote unquote lose weight. You don't really want to lose weight. You want to tone and slim down. That would mean losing fat and gaining muscle. Okay. So this is and I say this conversation a lot, and I have to remind people over and over again, because I inevitably will come back and say, yeah, but the scale. And I'm like, the scale's not changing. It's okay. We want to make sure if your scale's not changing, that's a good thing. Okay, yeah, if you're 300 pounds or something, yeah, of course, you're going to want the scale to change. But at some point, you're going to get to a point where the scale's not going to change, and you could still be burning fat and gaining muscle, and the scale's not going to change. And this is what we have to evaluate, okay? You don't get on the scale and evaluate how you're doing based on what the scale says. Don't do it, okay? It's an addiction, and you got to get off of it. All right. So when you're muscle wasting, you're becoming more obese, and fasting actually facilitates this. That is, if it's done long term. Okay. That won't happen if you do intermittent fasting, or if you do, a day or 2 or 5, even here. In 5 days, you might waste. I really don't know. I haven't done that science, but it's interesting to definitely navigate that, because you want to make sure you're doing this for the right reasons, right? So, we talked about binge eating and guilt and shame and all that stuff that comes along with this stuff. So again, be careful with these decisions, all right? And make sure you have help and someone to guide you through it, so you can overcome those tendencies or those patterns, or the possibility of that happening to you, even if you've never done that before. All right, so that's fasting. And then we want to talk about cleansing. So there's many, many, many types of cleanses, okay? And essentially, the bottom line of it is that cleansing is not fasting. Fasting is not eating food or just drinking lemonade. Cleansing is you actually get to eat food, but it's certain foods. There are foods that improve the detoxification systems. There are certain herbs that you may take. It depends on the cleanse that you're doing, but they're structured in such a way that you get to eat food, but it may be certain foods that will facilitate the detoxification process, okay? Again, you have to be mindful with any cleanse, because if you have insufficient detoxification pathways, or you have an insufficient GI tract where you're not absorbing, or you have leaky gut and constipation and things like that, you even when you're detoxing, either fasting or cleansing, you could be, if you're not eliminating properly or detoxifying properly or have leaky gut, you could actually reabsorb some of the toxins that are being released from your cells, and it can create an immune response. It can create headaches, it can create irritability, it can create hives, it can create joint pain, it can create so many things. And it's a very unpleasant experience for many people, especially if they don't have the guidance to help them walk through that. If I put anyone on a cleanse, I don't put anyone on fasts, really. Intermittent fasting, yes, but long-term fast, no. But if I put anyone on a cleanse, I'm going to make sure that I'm in touch with them every single day, because I want to know how things are moving along. And a good 80% of the time, I end up modifying what I've told people to do from the beginning, because I want to make sure that what we're doing is supporting their body. And if they're having any of those reactions, that's not supporting the body. So we got to make some changes there, and it's okay to do that, but you want to have somebody guide you through that. So there are certain foods and herbs that facilitate detoxification. So some of those include chlorella. And chlorella is a freshwater algae, and it literally chelates heavy metals out of the body, as does cilantro. This is something that I like to take every single day. And then there's spirulina. Spirulina is chlorela's cousin, and spirulina is such a wonderful superfood that they're actually sending it to NASA. NASA's actually sending it to space with their astronauts, because it has so much in it. So I take spirulina and chlorella almost basically every single day. And then there's turmeric and ginger and apples, green leafy vegetables, those kinds of foods, broccoli sprouts. So we're at springtime, and this is a good time to get your sprouter out and go get some broccoli seeds and sprout your own broccoli sprouts and eat them every day. Okay, put them in a smoothie, put them on your salad, put them on your food. Don't cook them. Just eat them raw, and you'll be good to go. Beets also are great detoxifying support, especially if you eat the beets with the beet greens. This really helps facilitate phase 2 liver detoxification and gallbladder support. So, you can add these foods into your daily diet every single day and just be eating foods that naturally detoxify your body. Now, don't think that you can add in these foods. I'm going to take some chlorella and spirulina and still eat processed foods and things like that. If you're gonna do it, go ahead and do your best to live the lifestyle. Like, get off the processed foods, drink clean water or filtered water, put clean body products on your skin, use clean household cleaning products, and make sure that you're reducing your toxic load if you're gonna even step into taking things like chlorella or spirulina, or just increasing the detoxification foods in your body. Like, this is what it's really about. This is about lifestyle change and making it a habit of living in a way that facilitates your own well-being, okay? I personally am a huge fan, as you already know, of the Purium 10-Day Transformation Program. This is a cleanse, but it avoids many of the pitfalls of a traditional cleansing, and essentially you don't get hungry on it. Like, seriously, you don't get hungry, and it's awesome, because cleansing is hard when you're hungry. You eat your little tiny bit of food or your green leafy vegetables, and then you go away for however many hours, and you got to wait until the clock ticks past that time that you said you're going to eat next, and then finally you get to go have a few olives or whatever it is, and you're like, oh my God, you're dying because you're so hungry. And then many times people will break their cleanse because they're so hungry, and they're just like, I can't do this, and then again we go into a pattern of guilt and shame and dysfunction around food, and then we get ourselves caught in a loop, and it's just no fun. So the Purium 10-Day transformation program is very quick in the changes that we see in actual organ system function. When this first came into my life, I was very leery of it, and I got convinced to try it out, and I loved it. I was like, oh my gosh, this is fantastic. I actually did a video every day, and it's on YouTube if you want to go look that up, of how every day of my first 10-day went. And it was fantastic. And by day 8, I wanted every single person I knew to feel as good as I felt. So this is why I came into this program. And then after that, I did a lot of research on patients who signed up to a little research program that I did, and some friends, and found out that I got results in organ system function to change so rapidly. Like, I've never seen such rapid change in organ system function. So I do something called a nutrition analysis graph, where I do a graph of the organ systems based on symptoms, how someone's organ systems are functioning. Like, you can see is how the nervous system is functioning, the digestive system, the liver gallbladder system, the hormonal system related to thyroid, adrenals, and pituitary. You can see how female hormone systems are functioning. You know, all these things, you can see the systems, how they're functioning based on the symptom of the patient. And when you see this on a graph, like, literally you should see no bars on the graph in a perfectly well-being. But many times people come to me in the beginning and all the bars are so high, like the graph is completely blacked out because there's so much going on. And at the end of a 10-day, inevitably, I get massive change on those graphs, where almost everything goes down and then 1 or 2 things will be highlighted. There'll be 2 bars or 1 bar, and I'll be like, oh, well, we can see where the priority is now. Now we know we can work on the thyroid gland, or now we know we need to work on the liver, or whatever it is that shows up. But previously, like, when every organ system lights up with all these different things, I'm like, oh my gosh, where do I start with this patient? Like, it might take me, 4 to 6 months to get some change on a graph, which now I can do in 10 days. And it's just freaking awesome to see this kind of shift on a cellular level. And then the cleanse also improves digestion, it improves sleep, improves attitude, my favorite thing. And it's full of spirulina, and everything's organic, and it's a highly bioavailable superfood blend of greens and different things like that are harvested at peak potency. So a lot of times, if you are just getting, let's say a wheatgrass powder, or, any kind of green powder that's from a grass, then I've found that most companies, not all, but most companies are harvesting quickly. So when the peak potency hasn't even been reached of the product, but Purium, they harvest at peak potency. Now this takes longer, right? And they have to wait for it to grow for a longer period of time. So they can't harvest as quickly or as much as fast. And, but that's why I love this company, because you're getting the highest quality products to put in your body and to nourish your body. I just love it. And the best thing is you actually get to eat with this 10-day transformation program. It is a type of fasting mimicking diet, and essentially where you're getting the benefits of fasting without actually having to fast. Plus you're supplementing your body with all this bioavailable nutrition, this green food powder, the vegan protein source called Super Amino 23, plus a host of other things that essentially don't even really go through the digestive system. They just get absorbed into the bloodstream and absorbed into your cellular tissue, and you feel nourished. So you're not running around going, oh my God, I feel like I'm going to die. If that's happening, you need to talk to me, because that shouldn't be happening, and we need to make some modifications to your program. That's all there is to that. I actually just put someone on this last month, and she's new patient into my practice, and I put her on the 10-day, and she, from the very beginning, she loved it. She's just like, yes, this is so great. She never really even had any trouble with it at all. Like, anything. I thought it might be an emotional roller coaster for her, but it wasn't. And then she ended up doing another one right after that. So she did 2 10 days back to back because she felt so fantastic. And I think today is her day 11 on her second one. So at the time of this recording. So it's really exciting because it feels really good. And if you want to join me in my next 10-day transformation program group program, I should say. It starts May 5th. So you head on over to drbrandyvictory.com/10-day. That's 10DAY, drbrandyvictory.com/10-day. And you can learn a little bit more about it. And again, if you want to have a consultation, just chat about it, just to make sure it's a good fit, feel free to reach out, because I really want people to know they're on the right track when they make this decision for themselves. And I also want them to know that I'm behind you 100% all the way when you're going through this process. Plus, we're going to set you up for long-term success. What do you do after the 10 days to continue facilitating your well-being? That's where the key is, and that's where the magic lies. So I would love to have you join us if you feel called. And again, please take a moment to share this with your friends. I am really excited to get the word out to as many people as possible, because the more women who get this information and start to take action in their life, we just create more light on our planet. So thanks for being a part of that evolution, and do whatever it takes to turn your soul on. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Turn Your Soul On Radio. Go ahead and subscribe below, and if you feel it's worthy of a 5-star review, I'd greatly appreciate your support in this way. If you'd like to go deeper with me, you're welcome to join our private Facebook group, Turn Your Soul On, or take it to a whole nother level and apply for my 4-month Turn Your Soul On Masterclass. You're welcome to do this at drbrandyvictory.com. Whatever you do, turn your soul on.
This podcast is for information purposes only. Dr. Brandy Victory is not a medical doctor, and the views and statements expressed on this podcast are not medical advice. This podcast, including Dr. Brandy Victory and the producers, disclaim responsibility from any possible adverse effects from the use of information contained herein. Opinions of guests are their own, and this podcast does not endorse or accept responsibility for statements made by guests. This podcast does not make any representations or warranties about guest qualifications or credibility. This podcast may contain paid endorsements and advertisements for products or services. Individuals on this podcast may have a direct or indirect financial interest in products or services referred to herein. If you think you have a medical problem, consult a licensed physician.